Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're breaking down an absolute bombshell that just shook up the baseball world. The Boston Red Sox and Washington Nationals just fired the very first major shot of the trade season, executing a totally stunning one-for-one swap between two contending teams.
Okay, let's dive right into this because this one definitely carries a massive shock factor. The trade deadline isn't even until August 3rd, but these front offices, they're making incredibly aggressive moves right now. And the biggest question on everyone's mind is simply, why on earth would a team trade away a top pitching prospect right in the middle of a heated playoff race? I mean, both of these guys are already in the majors, and both of these teams are actively fighting for their postseason lives.
So let's look at the fundamental swap. Boston gets 25-year-old infielder Curtis Mead, all the way from Adelaide, Australia, while the Nationals acquire 24-year-old left-hander Connelly Early out of Midlothian, Virginia. It's a straight one-for-one swap of young, controllable Major League talent. And the context here is absolutely crucial. Boston is sitting in the second American League wildcard spot at 53-50, while Washington is literally just 2 games out of a playoff spot over in the National League.
The fast-rising southpaw, profiling Connelly Early.
Washington is bringing in a 6'3" lefty drafted in the 5th round out of UVA back in 2023. Early made his Major League debut late in 2025 and immediately turned heads with a 2.33 ERA in his first 4 starts. And he built right upon that to post some stellar metrics in 2026. Across 17 starts this season, he's pitched to a 7-5 record with a rock-solid 3.44 ERA over 91 2/3 innings. He's actually striking out more than a batter an inning, 93 Ks compared to just 34 walks. His 1.25 whip and a 1.19 ERA plus absolutely prove that he's establishing himself as a highly reliable big league starter.
What makes Early so dominant, though, is his underlying stuff. He throws from this really deceptive low 3/4 arm slot and features a true 5-pitch arsenal. He's also experienced a massive velocity jump this year. His fastball is now averaging 95.3 miles per hour and touching 97.1. Up from just 94 last year. Because hitters have to respect that elevated heat, his off-speed pitches have become absolutely devastating. Opponents are batting under .200 against his changeup and his curveball. Honestly, it's no wonder he entered the year ranked as MLB Pipeline's 56th best prospect in baseball.
But every trade has a catch, right? And here's the plot twist. Left elbow inflammation. Early actually hasn't pitched since June 30th. Ironically, that was a game against the Nationals where he threw 4 scoreless innings. Now, the good news is that doctors don't believe there's any structural damage, and he's fully expected to return to the mound in August. But this nagging elbow issue introduces some clear, undeniable risk, and it's a huge factor in why Boston, right in the middle of a tight playoff race, felt willing to move one of their top arms.
Asset 2, the breakout slugger, unpacking Curtis Mead.
So, the Red Sox are getting a 25-year-old infielder with some serious pedigree. Meade was once considered an elite prospect, even showcasing his talents in the 2022 Futures game. But his journey hasn't exactly been a straight line. He bounced around the league a bit, struggled to really break through, and was actually designated for assignment by the White Sox in March. The Nationals scooped him up in April, and suddenly, boom, everything clicked. He found an explosive rhythm in Washington, putting up an .852 OPS through 87 games, which directly led to this July blockbuster trade to Boston.
Just look at his 2026 production. It's fantastic. Meade is hitting .254 with 17 home runs and 48 RBIs, boasting an elite 136 OPS plus. These are serious middle-of-the-order numbers. And when you combine this offensive breakout with his defensive versatility, keeping in mind he has experience playing first, second, and primarily third base, he gives the Red Sox highly controllable stability at a position of need, literally all the way through the 2030 season.
But here's the thing. The raw power isn't even the most impressive part. It's this number, 25.4%. That represents his chase rate, which sits comfortably in the 76th percentile across the entire league. He pairs this excellent plate discipline with a very low 17.9% whiff rate and an 11.5% walk rate. So he isn't just swinging blindly out there. He barrels the ball consistently, doesn't swing and miss often, and makes himself an incredibly tough out.
And then there's this number, 17. Those 17 home runs he hit in Washington, that total would actually rank second on the current Red Sox roster, sitting just behind Wilson Contreras. Boston has been completely starved for right-handed pull power, and Meade's swing profile perfectly addresses that glaring need, especially with the Green Monster waiting for him at Fenway Park.
The strategic fit. Why make this trade?
When you put these two rosters side by side, it's like a giant puzzle where the pieces just snap together perfectly.
The Red Sox have elite pitching. We're talking the second lowest ERA in the American League, led by stellar arms like Sonny Gray and Ranger Suarez. But their hitting? It's poor. They rank 25th in runs scored and are in the bottom 3 in home runs. The Nationals have the exact opposite problem. They boast baseball's highest scoring offense with powerful bats like James Wood and C.J. Abrams, but their pitching has been a total disaster, carrying the 3rd highest ERA in the National League. Each team is directly addressing their biggest, most obvious weakness.
So this really explains why Boston felt totally comfortable pulling the trigger here. Their major league rotation is currently full and performing quite well. Plus, they have emerging minor league depth with arms like Peyton Toll and Jake Bennett climbing the ranks rapidly. Combined with Early's current elbow injury limiting his immediate impact for a playoff push, Boston felt they could afford to lose a top pitching prospect to gain a middle-of-the-order right-handed bat. And bonus, slotting Meade in at third base nicely pushes Caleb Durbin to second, optimizing their infield defense.
ESPN's Jeff Passan actually hit the nail on the head regarding this aggressive front office logic when breaking the news. He noted, although arms of Early's ilk rarely get dealt so early in their careers, Boston regards Meade as an increasingly rare commodity, a right-handed bat with impact potential. Boston saw exactly what they needed, went out, and got it.
But wait, there was some really fascinating behind-the-scenes detective work here, too. Nationals president of baseball operations Paul Taboni was actually hired away from the Red Sox front office. Taboni knows Connelly Early extremely well from his time in Boston. In trades involving injured pitchers, it requires a tremendous amount of trust between the organizations. That deep, pre-existing familiarity gave Washington the absolute confidence necessary to execute this swap.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates Washington's absolute masterclass in asset management. Step 1. They acquire a DFA'd player for virtually nothing back in April. Step 2. Their coaching staff works with him and completely unlocks his immense power potential at the plate. Step 3. Less than 4 months later, they flip him for highly controllable top-tier starting pitching in July. I mean, that is exactly how you successfully rebuild an organization.
The verdict. Who won the deal?
The analytical fallout and fan reactions have been pouring in, and man, opinions are definitely split on this one. Looking at the initial trade grades from For the Win, the Nationals pull an A while the Red Sox get a B. A lot of Red Sox fans are visibly upset right now. They feel like giving up a high-ceiling pitcher like Early is way too big a gamble for a player who was essentially a cast-off just months ago. However, fantasy analysts are completely on the other side of the fence, calling this an ideal pairing. It's a genuinely rare baseball trade between two win-now teams where both sides are trading from a position of surplus to fix a massive glaring hole.
Ultimately, if Early's elbow heals up and he becomes the frontline starter his metrics scream he can be, and if Meade's breakout is real and he provides that desperately needed right-handed power in Fenway, this could legitimately go down as a true win-win for everyone. But it leaves us with one final provocative question. With the August 3rd deadline still looming and the market now officially set, who's going to fire the next shot? This was just the opening salvo, folks, so buckle up for a wild ride over the next week. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you for the next breakdown.